Um, right, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Right, hello, welcome everyone to the Transnation Formula 1 World Championship here at Hungary for the Hungaroring GP. I'm Brett Keenan, joined in commentary with Matthew Elliott. Welcome to the broadcast, Matthew. And last weekend we saw George van der Brug take his second career race win in Formula 1 in the F1 category ahead of John Lindberg and Mackenzie Stewart. We now head to Hungary, which is a completely different beast to the likes of Germany. Who do you think is going to be up the front this weekend, and who do you think is going to struggle a little bit?
Up front, probably the usual Daniel Val showed pretty consistent pace all season, and it'd be nice to see a dark horse. Like, we don't know what Alex will pull off today, because this is his first race in F1, so it could be interesting.
Yep, so if we just get you to spectate and ready up, we'll be able to get underway. I'll just give the drivers some notification. Good to go, guys, good to go. We are good to go, ready up. Alright, so you of course took part in yesterday's F3 championship race, finishing well-deserved 8th place after a few little hiccups during the race. Of course, we took a new race winner in Engine Segal. Of course, he's not familiar to being on the top step of the podium. He's our first driver in TNF1 history to win a category, move up to another one, and then win a race from that category. So he's made some history for us this weekend. And then, of course, in F4, we of course took another race winner in Bo van den Brug, who was second place, 5th place last weekend, the weekend before in Germany, in the F4 first race, and now we go to F1 and F2 territory. So we do F1 now, and then we come to F2, where I take part in 4 hours time. No, actually, it is 3 hours time. Sorry, I woke up a bit late this morning, so I'm still a bit out of it. So deeply apologise for my drop in voice and maybe my lack of attention to detail. So, usual candidates, of course. Then you, like Matt said, we've got Alex Fretwell in the Renault, and then Stanley, who's going to be playing reserve role for the rest of the season. So he'll pretty much take whatever car is available to him at the time. And we've got a wet qualifying session for today. Whether it's intermediate or wet, we'll find that out right now. It is intermediate conditions. Not 100% sure what the expected ETA on this will be, but 15 drivers will take to the qualifying session. We have both Mercedes, both Force Indias, both Williams, both Renaults, both McLarens, and only one of each in the mark of the Ferrari, Toro Rosso, Honda, and Red Bull and Alfa Romeo Sauber. So, okay, so Matt, so we had qualifying yesterday. We didn't have any wet sessions at all yesterday. We now do have a wet session today, and of course it is the main game. How would you approach Hungary, given it's already a quite slippery circuit as it is in the dry? How do you approach it when it's now like it is?
Through the fast corners, you get a little patient. Make sure you don't lose grip, and make sure you hit your braking points a little bit sooner. Otherwise, you can really take advantage of this track right now, especially if you're a good wet track. And you also don't have to worry about it too much for qualifying right now, because I got a report that will be a dry race.
Okay, and I've also just been handed the championship picture after a whole week of not getting it put up. So currently, as it stands, Daniel Lindberg holds a 2-point. Daniel Lindberg, Jesus Christ! fanfic writers go nuts. Daniel Vale has a 2-point advantage over John Lindbergh heading into this weekend, and Daniel will have the knowledge of knowing that even if he only just finishes in the points, he will take an extension on his championship points lead, as opposed to John Lindbergh not being able to attend this weekend. And a bit of bad news for any John Lindbergh fans out there, John's availability has become very, very subjectable for the last few rounds of this championship. So we could see Daniel Vale pretty much run away with this championship if that comes to pass. So we're no stranger to having runaway champions. Of course, I did it last season when our main championship combatants, David and Noah Weck, decided to depart from the championship a bit early in the piece, which then allowed me to take the championship. But anyway, so Mackenzie still holds down third, but he's 37 points behind, with Alex Little holding on in fourth place, 53 points behind the leader, and then Jules Vanderbrug, after his win, now only sits pretty much 35 points behind Alex Little for fourth. So quite an interesting battle with the top five, and you can't discount the top five. You can't discount P5. Position 6 of Guy Tasker, you could pretty much rule Guy out of any possible chance of winning the championship right now. Much to the same of some other drivers. Now, I think we've already lost James Retief. It looks like he's, according to our screen, it looks like he's dropped off the bar. Now, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I haven't actually put the lap data up so we can see who's doing what. So we're watching here Stanley Belrose in the Williams, driving in place of Christopher Tremaine, who is our normal Williams driver but hasn't attended this weekend or the weekend before. So Stanley does an invalidated 129.3 to start the ball off, so just keep an eye out on the times to see where that would have stacked up had he not invalidated. So Axel Ericsson goes to the top with a 34.9, so you could already tell that Stanley was immensely quicker. And now Alex Little's done a 29.8, which I think would have only just been slightly slower than Stanley's 29 time. So Jules Vanderbrug up to P2 with a 29.8, our previous race winner. So,
off.
Yeah, not much in it. And then Melvin Stolbaka, Jules' teammate, makes it in with a 31.4, with Eddie behind on a 31.6. We'll just see who else is about to complete a lap here. Yep, here we go. We got Nathan Vandenbeek. A couple have done it. Alex Fretwell's done a first time, and then Nathan comes up to third with a 130.7. And then Nadir Ziyat with a 138.2 makes up the last of the drivers to set a lap time. Here's Guy Tasker, who's absolutely missed the corner heading into the final part of the track. I have no idea what the hell he was doing there. He just didn't even look like he was going to turn. But he has let, I think, Stanley back through. So what can Stanley do here from... Can he actually set a time this time? Yes, he can, a 129.5. So Stanley Belrose to the top of the timesheets. And Guy Tasker, of course, must have invalidated, and henceforth why he got out of the way. Still waiting to see Daniel Vale. He's just now coming out on an outlap. Alex Little now jumps to the top with a 129.3, so not too bad. But of course these are... I don't know whether the conditions are changing or not, because it doesn't look like it, because nobody's waiting, it seems. Apart from Yevgeny Delacroix, and... I'm hoping I got that right, Yevgeny. I'm hoping. He gave us a personal pronunciation yesterday on the podium at F3, so hopefully we've got that right. So just looking at these times, Matt, who do you think so far has been one of the biggest standouts?
Probably Stanley. He did pretty well this week. And being just a reserve driver, I'm pretty sure he could probably be in F1 already. It's looking pretty good for him.
Yeah, we have given him opportunities to race in F1. Unfortunately, he has prized himself on trying to claim the F2 title first, so he will most likely join us in F1 next season. Of course, evaluations may put pay to that. And so, as we say that, Guy Tasker to the top of the time sheets with a 28.7. So the Brit looking to try...
guy.
The Brit, who I just not long said is out of the championship picture with nothing to lose, has now put in the fastest time of the session, more than 0.3 of a second faster than Stanley Belrose. So I think Guy has become now the biggest surprise of the thing. Could he bag his first career pole position in... Well, actually... Well, yeah, it would be, because we don't really count the beta test for much of anything these days. So Guy Tasker looking to get his first pole position of his career to add to his one and only race win of his career, which came in China last season, round 2 of the championship. So he and Guy and I pretty much shared a very similar kind of championship outcome last season. We both managed to score a win apiece, and then pretty much had pretty torrid. It was a very interesting thing, and a lot of people often commented on it. We could never have a good race together. So if Guy had a bad race, I'd have a good race. If I had a bad race, Guy would have a good race. There was never an in-between. Although we could both arguably have bad races at the same time, as Daniel Vale now just jumps to the top with a 128.1. So our championship points leader looking to try and take advantage of the fact that John Lindbergh won't be attending this weekend, and will be just trying to get that 2-point lead out to a potential 27-point lead heading into Belgium. And that would be a quite a comfortable margin to have, because Belgium is a track that has in the past made or break championships. So Mackenzie Stewart still hasn't set a time. Of course, James Retief is out of the session. Yevgeny has not actually decided to come out yet. Is there a possibility of a drying track? And that's what he's waiting for.
I think it is. I'm not seeing any raindrops.
No, I agree with you there. I'm not seeing anything here either. So Mackenzie moves up to P10 with a 30.3. That is, and he's cheekily running the number 1 as well. Of course, I'm just going to throw it out there. That's something he's not going to be running next season, so he might as well enjoy it for today.
Yeah, he's already apologized on the stream.
Has he?
Yeah.
Alright, well that will be alright then. So, in any which case, we'll press on. So, George Vandenberg has now moved up to P2 with a 28.6, but as you say, Daniel just decides, I'll make it just that little bit more harder to beat, but if, as you say, if the track is starting to dry up, it could be soon to see who jumps on the tyres and makes a bold strategy. Oh, as Yevgeny puts it in the fence just before turn 3. He's pushing his limits. He's only just come out on an outlap, so he's probably going to come straight back in for a front wing change, I'd imagine, because there's no way he's going to get out of that. Now, is Daniel going on with this? Oh, Jesus Christ. No, he's gone. He's lost it big time. That was scary. And looks like Melvin's put it in the fence somewhere as well. He only managed a 131.4, so he'll be pretty much starting at the back unless Yevgeny doesn't set a time. So very disappointing qualifying for, I imagine, for both Melvin and... Oh my goodness me! That is a really weird place to lose the car. And don't forget that ghosting is off, so people are going to have to take avoiding action. You don't want to be trying to drive through these people, because you're not going to do it. So Alex Little now up to P2 with a 28.2. And Guy Tasker. So Tasker is taking the first initiative here. A set of mediums. Jules Vandenberg now is going to take a set of softs. They must be convinced the track is dry enough, or they're just going to wait. No, because Jules has now changed his mind. Or has the game told him that it's still inefficient? We don't know as of yet. So a 127.8 is the time to beat currently, set by Daniel Vale as Yevgeny is out as well, so... And, in fact, Nathan's just put it in the fence. What's going on here?
I think the track's too dry for these tires, and they're just losing traction. They're getting really warm.
So here comes Mackenzie Stewart. Still can't improve on his 33... 1 minute 30, he does a 1 minute 30.355, so he's still 3/100ths of a second slower than his previous best. Eddie Bettenbell, haven't heard much of him today, he's currently in P9 on a 30.2. Then it's Alex Fretwell. March Trisandi out qualifying his teammate at the moment, which is good to see. Axel Eriksson P5, then it's Stanley Belrose, Guy Tasker, George Vanderbrug, who's come back out on another set of intermediates, so I'm not quite sure what his end game was there, unless he did make a mistake or unless the team did say that it was the wrong tyre to be on and they've automatically switched him onto the intermediates.
I imagine he'll be back in.
Yeah, I'd say he'll be back in right about now, unless he intends to try and throw these tyres in. Is he coming in? Yes, so just got to be careful here. We've seen multiple occasions this weekend where drivers have misjudged the pit entry and then gone straight into the pit wall, and that was game over. So everyone's moving to the dry tyre, but I haven't seen anyone yet actually make the move to go on the front on the tyres. And Master Sandy looking to try and at least do what he did last weekend and try and go for pole position. It's the only drive right now to have the ultra soft tyre, so we're going to see very shortly if Master Sandy could score a pole position, but it just remains to be seen. So Nadir Ziyad, despite being pretty much the only regular car in amongst of DNFs, currently sitting 12th, so he needs to beat a 1 minute 30.7 on any pretty much. I'm surprised Nadir's come back out on the inters again. And Mackenzie's disconnected, but he'll be lucky because he's still got 3.5 minutes to get back in. Otherwise, he'll lose his chance to race again. And if he does that again, he only needs to pretty much lose 25 more points, and you could pretty much rule him out of the title fight.
So we have Stanley to be in the first on the dries.
Yep, so we've got Stanley out on the softs. We'll see now whether that's going to be the right call. I haven't seen anything to suggest that DRS has been activated, so you wouldn't really go out on the circuit until you knew for a fact that DRS was active, because A, you're not going to get a good enough time because you're going to be slower due to lack of DRS, and because the DRS activation is pretty much the point of the crossover, as we like to call it in Formula 1 terms. So Stanley's going to be a very interesting portray of whether it's going to be the right time to come out. And as I say that, I wouldn't say perfect, but he's pretty much come out on a point where now, by the time he swings back around to do his flyer, the track should be at a perfect dry condition. As we say that, Alex Little is now out as well, and Mackenzie has now managed to get back into the session, so he'll be hoping and praying that his internet, if his internet does go again, that it does before well, pretty much not between now and the formation lap, because if it does, well, now we've got an incident sector 1 as someone had a spin somewhere. No, it just looks like someone was going slow through sector 1, but they're all now piling out. Nadir Ziyad has actually gone on with this. I'm surprised by this. I'm very surprised that he's actually gone onto the inters and stayed to his guns. I don't think he's gonna be able to improve on a. Well, you can already tell. I mean, his second sector, he hasn't even hit the second sector, and he's already in the 1 minute zone. And Mackenzie, his internet woes are getting worse by the second. He needs to he probably needs to reset his game and do it again, but it's getting dangerously close to that cut-off point, so he's going to have to try and hope that his internet holds out just that little bit longer. But it's bad news one way around for the championship contender, and of course our F2 champion from last season. So, yeah, I don't know. Nadier's not going to improve on this lap. He should have really come in and put on a set of dry tyres. But either way, we're going to now watch Stanley, because Stanley will be our first driver to set a representative time on the soft tyre. And this is critical too, because if anyone stuffs their lap up, even just the slightest, a single invalidation, and if Stanley puts out a time, Stanley will take pole position. So he goes to the top with only a 26.8. That's that's an intriguing lap time given the state of play. I think I called it right. I actually think he didn't should have waited a bit longer.
Well, he's got time to do another lap.
But you got a problem with that, Matthew, and that's you've got pretty much 11 other drivers on the circuit now, so spatial awareness is going to be very critical, and you can already kind of see it as you look with Alex Little. You've got Daniel right behind him, then you've got Georges, and you got Georges and Axel in front of him. So, and Axel's made a meal of a thing. Now Mackenzie's managed to get back in, but I don't know if he was back in time. And Axel's car has been thrown around the circuit. Now, we'll just see. I don't know who will be the next driver. I suppose it will be Stanley again. So Stanley will be the first driver to set yet another representative time before the session closes. So he's backed it off completely. So that's it. That's it for Stanley.
He's out of fuel.
But he's still improved. No, he won't actually. He nearly improved. So our next driver should be Axel Eriksson. Or is it Georges? No, it's Georges. So Addy goes to P2 with a thing. Alex Fretwell to the top with a 22 flat. Could Alex get his first pole on debut for the F1? We'll find out. Here comes Georges Vanderbrug. Georges only to P3. Master P2 with a 22.3. Could Reno get a front row lockout? Axel to P4. Wait for Daniel Vale. Where is Daniel Vale? Only 5th place for Daniel Vale. Guy Tasker, it's a front row. Alex Fretwell takes his... Sorry, I'm on my headset. I don't know. I don't know why, because I'm talking. So either way, Alex at the back of the top 10. Alex Little. I cannot believe that. So Mark Trasandi records his career best qualifying position in F1 for a front row start. And yet again, the front row is locked out by another team. Yesterday we saw it in F3 with Williams. This weekend, well, today we see it with Renault. And that's also... the internet quality is currently not sufficient, although I'm pretty sure that it's going to still say it's going anyway. Yep, so it's still saying we're on here, so that's no big deal. I've seen that one before, but that's not a big deal. Anyway, so that was great qualifying there, and Alex Fretwell takes his first pole position on debut for the Transnational Formula 1 Championship. Really pulled it out of nowhere. And then, of course, our championship leader, Daniel Vale, only managing the 6th fastest time, with our 2 other combatants of Alex Little and Mackenzie Stewart back in 9th and 10th. So as we recalled last weekend, Alex Little started P9, and where did he end up? Out of the race. So Matt, without further ado, we'll get you to run us through the TKA Media starting grid while I take a breather.
Alright, on pole for his F1 debut we have Alex Fretwell. In P2 we have Mark Trasandi. In P3, Georges Vanderburg. In P4, Mr. Velvet Voice himself, Guy Tasker. In 5th we have Axel Eriksson. In 6th we have championship points leader Daniel Vale. In 7th we have Stanley Belarus. 8th, Addy Bow. 9th, Alex Little. 10th, Stewart. 11th, oh, I forgot his name again.
Nathan Vandenbeek.
Nathan Vanderbeek. 12th, Nadir Ziyech. 13th, Melvin Sturbaka. 14th, James Retief. And 15th, Yevgeny Delacruz.
Well done. So, 15 cars on the grid, as per expected. Looks like McKenzie did manage to get back in, irrespective of the situation. And, yeah, so we've got a very mixed grid for this weekend's racing. The wet weather, and that's the part I love about. From a commentary standpoint, that's the part I love about wet qualifying, is that it really throws a mixer in the works here, and especially these dry to wet ones too, because it means that drivers they don't know whether they think, oh, I'll go out now, do an intermediate time and it won't dry up and I'll score pole position this way, or then the people like March and all that kind of just think, okay, I'll do a lap on the inters, I know it's not going to be fast enough, but I can guarantee it's going to be dry by the end of the race. Now, something I just noticed interesting about the two Renault drivers, Master Sunday running the number 96, and then his teammate is running the number 95. So you don't see that too often in online racing history. I mean, unless the two have managed to come into contact with each other about this situation, but I wouldn't really go too far about it. But either way, we're about to get ready. So as usual, we'll have our delayed start, so the lights will build up, and then the revs will build, the pressure rises, the tension gets as exciting as ever. It's lights out, away we go, and Alex Fretwell went absolutely nowhere at the start. Front wing panels, holy crap, we've got a huge payload of cars out of the thing, and Daniel Vale, our championship points leader, caught up in all of that as well. What an unbelievable start through, and Guy Tasker, through it all, has managed to put himself in the lead of the Grand Prix with Stanley Bellerose in P5, Melvin Stobaka with a 5-second stop-go penalty with a collision with Axel, and gained 2 positions. Now, I don't know exactly how that all unfolded. I would guess that it might have been to do with Fretwell's stranded car, but it caused a massive concertina effect, and not for the first time this season, Daniel Vale has ended up being in the back of the field with it all to do again. So we're going to see how this all plays out. Stanley right on the back of Guy Tasker at the moment, with Fretwell recovering into P3 after pretty much, I would say that the game's basically bugged out and Fretwell's been held on the grid for longer than he should have, and that's probably caused a massive concertina effect, which has seen Nadir Ziyech unfortunately out of the race before it even began. So that's unfortunate for them. Now that's interesting. How does one driver set the fastest lap of the race on the opening lap and then get beaten by it?
Got to be a little buggy.
Well, Hungary has been notorious for bugs. I mean, last season F2 we saw a bug where the safety car would not stop deploying, so it deployed after a crash, and then it, oh, hang on, oh god, oh no, sorry, that was just an incident there. I thought that was going to result in a DNF, but it just looks like March got pushed out wide a bit by one of the Mercedes and has dropped a ton of position. But as I was saying, now actually surprisingly, Daniel hasn't come into pit. I would have thought, given he was pirouetting through the outfield, he would have got damaged, but it looks like he's actually come out of it clean. Oh well, we'll be able to see now the speed of the Ferrari driver and our championship points leader, and Guy Tasker still holding on to that lead from Stanley Belrose, with Alex Fretwell starting to lurk behind. So in the strategy state of play, it's definitely advantage Guy Tasker with the medium tyre. Stanley will be in the best frame as well, and Alex Fretwell on the ultra softs will be in a bit of trouble because he'll have to come in the earliest of these 3 runners. So Guy Tasker, through strategy and through sheer determination, could be the strongest possibility to win a race, and it would also break the threshold of continual winners this season. So, of course, we've got Daniel Vale and John Lindbergh both on 3 wins. You've got George Vandenberg on 2 wins, and then it's a handful of other drivers with 1 win apiece, as Mackenzie Stewart has now made a move on George Vandenberg for position 4. So that puts
Daniel going to be making a move on Yevgeny real soon too.
Yeah,
I'm his way up.
And Yevgeny goes defensive, which understandably, oh god, Daniel's forcing the issue. He's got it done in the chicane around the outside to start with, but Yevgeny pushes the issue and keeps the position. So you don't see that too often. You don't actually see anyone set themselves up on the outside, which then positions on the inside. It's very well executed there by Daniel, as he now throws it down the inside at 11, locks it up. Yevgeny tries to pull it, but then I think Yevgeny even knows that there's battles to fight in these kind of races, and when you're fighting the world champ, not defending anything, sorry, but when you're fighting the championship points leader and pretty much the benchmark of the F1 category, you know not to intervene too much. Now, Alex Fretwell has also gotten past Stanley Belrose too, but Fretwell now going wide. That could set Belrose up for a move, but it looks like Fretwell's managed to hold it together, and Guy still through all this holds the lead, but is just not being able to pull away as much as he would like. And of course those mediums will take a little while to get into the groove. We saw maybe about 12 laps in is where the softs come in. Now George is struggling because George has just dropped a position to his own teammate now, so as Eddie does the fastest lap of the race on the soft tyres, but he's a way back from the rest of the field. I think March has come in as well. I think March has had front wing change as well.
I think George has a front wing problem.
Well, just have a look. He's just been overtaken by Alex Little as well, so
yeah, he ran into the corner. I don't think he could turn it in.
It does. I can't see anything at the moment. We'll see if he comes in. He is, but he is missing a bit of his end plate on the left-hand side, so you will be struggling on that a little bit. Now here comes Stanley down the inside of Fretwell again, and Daniel Vale now does the fastest lap of the race. But this is the thing about Hungary, is that you've got to try and make a gap, because if you don't make a gap, as Fretwell tries to fire it down the inside at 2, they're locking wheels, they're side by side heading into 3. But Belrose will hold the position. Now, this is stuff that Guy Tasker will be going in his deep velvety voice. Yes, do this. Just keep battling and I'll be able to pull out my advantage. He's now out of DRS range of the top 3. But he's got to try and keep it together. He's just got to try and get these tyres to that minimum window where they will grip up, and he'll be able to pull out some good numbers. And Mackenzie's not too far off this battle either, so Mackenzie will be poised to try and get past these guys if he wants to try and attack Guy and put him under pressure. So good comeback by the 2 Mercedes boys. Maybe a little subjectable on one of them on the move on March, which probably could have broken his wing. Daniel Vale is definitely on the charge at the moment. He's managed to recover, and I still can't see any front wing damage on his end, so he's managed to come out of that corner, out of that incident, despite being facing the wrong way on the start line, to be pretty much back into a position to fight. And Mackenzie's, here we go, so Fretwell's in, so the Ultrasoft's clearly not holding on for those 5 laps. He should have really thought about that strategy when he came onto the race, but I mean, we all think differently when it comes down to it. We'll just have a quick check of the Discord team radio if there's anything. Only something from Nadia Zia asking what happened in regards to the start line incident. I'd be quite curious to see it myself. Did you manage to catch anything?
All I caught was chaos, just like after it already started. I don't know who caused it or what happened to instigate the issue, but it's got to be really disappointing for him not to even be able to cross the start-finish line.
No. So at the moment, it looks like Guy is starting to stretch his margin now out to 1.5 seconds over Stanley, who will start to feel the pressure now of Mackenzie Stewart hanging off his doorstep, and Melvin's actually done a good job as well. In fact, Melvin was quite strong here last season as well in regards to thing, because he did eventually try to fight for position 2 on the track in the F2 category, but unfortunately a time penalty after the red flag was put into play dropped him well down the order. So that was one of the 2 red flags that we had last season. That was because of safety car glitching. Our first one was the F1 Grand Prix, or the F1 Australian Grand Prix, when the safety car was causing everyone to disqualify, and that was only with about a handful of laps to go. And then of course here this last season in F2, when the safety car would deploy pretty much every 5 laps for no apparent reason, as Mackenzie Stewart's now gotten past Stanley Belrose and up into position 2, and now he'll try and chase down the race leader in Guy Tasker. But the strategies will be starting to come into play now. Guy's tyres will start to be gripping in, and Guy will be starting to feel that that great grip is yours now, with a time penalty for corner cutting. In fact, he's just now lost a position to Val. Oh, actually, has he though? Oh, that was a bit touch and go there, going through the fast S's. I wouldn't have been really trying to fight for a position there. And this was the kind of thing that we were talking about yesterday, last weekend, weren't we? About Jaws' championship fluctuation, how he can have such a good race one day and then just be caught up in so much in another race where he ends up being struggling. And he's now come in, so I guess he's had enough of that front wing. Ugh. Sorry, allergies.
Yeah, he's had some really good, strong races this season, but others, I think he just gets caught in something, maybe wrong place, wrong time, sort of thing.
His consistency is great, but yeah, it's just that his overall race consistency has been struggling to find a good spot in anything to get a result. Now, Fretwell's under attack here from Axel Ericsson. I don't know if that's... I'd say, yeah, looks like it's for genuine status, because Axel's been on his tires for 7 laps. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So they're both Force Indias back in 13th and 14th at the moment, quite a fair way back from the leaders, as well as Addy Bettenbauer. So these guys will be hoping for a safety car or for some bad luck to happen to the front drivers. Now, Mackenzie's managed to chop the gap down from Guy by half a second to 1.6 seconds, but again, the tyre strategies are going to come into play very shortly. Of course, Guy will have to be careful, because the undercut is a very powerful thing around here, so we'll see what happens soon, as Alex Little is now trying to attack the back of Melvin Stolbaka for position 4, and all this will gradually bring Daniel Vale into the party as Melvin locks up and goes wide into 2. They go side by side towards 3, but Melvin manages to hold his ground enough, and that he can hold the position. In fact, these two are actually starting to slowly creep their way towards Stanley, so I'm wondering if Stanley's just back at cruise controlling, because he knows that this is not his race. He knows he's not in this for anything more than just to get a bit of mileage and playing reserve for other teams. So I don't think he's too intent on the idea of worrying about the positional gains, as actually now this battle for the lead is starting to intensify, as Mackenzie's now within DRS range of Guy Tasker, and I think Mackenzie's obviously set his car up for the dry conditions in the race, and that could be why his qualifying pace was not too flash. We'll see now as Guy went a bit wide coming out of the exit of 1. This should set Mackenzie up. I don't think he'll make a move here. He's too far away to really consider anything. But Guy has been pretty stoic in this race today to show grit. And of course, this time last season, he didn't even make it past 2. He only just made it past 2 and 1, and that was pretty much it for him in that race last season. So he's definitely one-upped his game this weekend and this season. Probably would be very disappointed about his season in general with the amount of races he's missed, and then the races he has attended, the results haven't been quite as it's fortuitous compared to the likes of Mackenzie. He's missed only one race through no fault of his own, but still within a shot of the championship, though very, at this point with Daniel and P10, it's still only looking like a manageable amount of points. So of course Daniel will be expected to go up a few more positions as they come along. So interestingly different strategy I just noticed too, Matt, between the two Mercedes. So I wonder why Alex is running on the mediums and Mackenzie on the softs.
So they don't get a double stack or compromise in the pit, possibly anyway.
Well, these two would probably be in a party chat together, so I can't imagine that they would compromise each other's strategy unless a safety car, of course, came out. As there is a battle. Yeah, so Stanley's in, so that's going to promote these guys up another position. Guy still managing to hold on to position, and this was critical too because it's getting now closer and closer to Mackenzie's pit window. So yesterday we saw up to about lap 14, the highest that a driver went on the soft tyre, and that was Yevgeny in position 6 at the moment, who was currently at the time was in position 3 in the F3 race. So we'll see how long it takes, and I think the longest we saw on a set of softs, mediums, was 19 laps, and that was performed by Sterling West, who will be our eventual second place in the race behind crap, I can't even remember who won F3 now. Engine. Sorry, yeah, Engine.
Yeah.
And now Alex Little, our former Mr. Consistency, earning himself a 3-second time penalty, so it's bringing his ratio down. He's now Mr. Not as consistency as he once thought. As Guy crosses the continue lap 12, and we've lost Nathan. I don't know where he would have lost it because he's behind, although given that we're about to approach where James Retief was, so we might see where that crash was. It hopefully isn't in a dangerous location. The green flags, there we go. Oh no, he's pulled it off. No, he's pulled it off. Oh, and Mackenzie's actually made a huge mistake coming into 3. I actually think he might have been, oh no, it's a virtual safety car, that's why. So who's going to take the opportunity? Axel Eriksson's taking the opportunity to come in for a free pit stop, as is March Trasandi. And Axel's also got a front wing change, so this could compromise him a little bit if the safety car ends. And we'll just see how that all plays out. So the virtual safety car has come out, and that probably would explain why they all kind of jumped at that point, because you would not have expected it. Now, for Guy, this is critical. You don't want to be Mackenzie. If Mackenzie gets too close, then he'll be told back off, and if he doesn't do that right, he'll get caught with a drive-through penalty. And as we say that, DRS activates and the virtual safety car comes to a close. Mackenzie caught a little napping, not too much. He's managed to utilise it irrespective. I don't think he will have DRS. Oh no, he will have DRS, because even though it's activated, they wouldn't have been over the DRS activation point for that to happen. So either which way, it doesn't matter. They continue racing. Axel's managed to come out now on a fresh set of mediums. I would have thought March would have done the same, but I suppose at the end of the day it doesn't matter, because they'll be all due in for another stop eventually anyway. Oh my god, these guys are going 3 wide into turn 2. Daniel Vale, Alex Little, Melvin Stabaka almost 3 wide at turn 2. That was a beautiful opportunity to get in there, and Alex has managed to claw himself up to P3, but of course he will have eventually the hard charging Daniel Vale to contend with, as Mackenzie still tries to push Guy Tasker into a mistake. These two have not actually raced against each other for a good while. I think France would have been the last time that there would have been a race for position between these two. So it's good to see Guy up the front. Actually, it's been a long time since we've seen the name Rabbit Donkey 96 on the top of the leaderboards. Well, for me personally, I wouldn't know, because I've never actually been in a race where I've seen Guy at the top of the timesheets for anything, because of course I've raced against him since the beta test. So, oh, Come on, guy, don't put the mocker on me just yet. And Daniel Vale's in. So, as expected, the tyre's not reaching their optimal temperature. And it's pretty much time to... Okay, so during the virtual safety car and pit procedure, we've just got a team radio here from Axel Ericsson taking blame for the start line chaos.
Wow.
So that's a very modest and open thing to do, and a lot of people don't seem to understand. You know, they don't quite understand the situation that putting your hand up and admitting fault to an incident is going to give you a lot less of a penalty than constantly denying it and saying, no, this guy did this and I had no choice but to do that. So you can't, if you put your hand up and admit, yes, it's my fault, I did it, then the stewards are going to take a better view of it. And then if you just keep denying it and then it proves to your fault, of course the stewards are going to take a very dim view on it. Now, actually, a lot of you have probably asked the question, where is Joshua Law, Banana Josh? Certain incident happened over the course of the week. We're not going to explain what it was for the sake of privacy and confidentiality. But to make the matter, just to bring the point across, I'll just wait for a second here to see if Mackenzie's going to commit to this move up the inside at turn 2. Guy giving him a lot of room to do so. Either which way, his actions were deemed heinous and inaccurate to TNF1 conducts, and he's been issued a 2-race suspension as of this weekend onwards. So we won't see Joshua Law again till the Italian Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. Just to clear that air. So any Josh Law fans, that's the reason he's not here today. It's not because he missed the race, it's just because he's serving a 2-race ban for uncoordinated conduct. So Mackenzie's really trying to push the bar with these soft tyres, and he's kind of ruining his chances of taking the race win by doing this, because the more he bites out of these soft tyres, the more closer it is for Guy to be able to use the fresher soft to
push another lap on too.
Yeah, well, I don't understand his methods. His method is completely wrong. If he's trying to get the lead of the race, it's pointless. Now, I've got an incident sector 2. It's Axel Ericsson. He's gone off at turn 4, it looks like, which is not hard to do. And Mackenzie's managed to get through on Guy. So there's the move done. But you're pushing a boundary that's gonna come back to bite you in the ass for doing it. Because, well, Guy's going to go wide and get a penalty for that one, so that's going to not help his case. But what I'm trying to get at, people watching, is that the soft tyre has only got a 12-lap expectancy, as Mackenzie now makes a huge meal of the chicane to prove my point. Now, he has to give that position. He actually now needs to drop that time. Otherwise, he will be given a post-race time penalty for cutting corner, blatantly cutting a corner and gaining an advantage. And it looks like he has dropped that time, so that's good. So, but to my point, the soft tyre can only go as far as 12 laps before they fall off the cliff. So what Mackenzie has done here is he's coming in now, but he's possibly ruined any hopes he has of winning this race, because he's pushed those tyres too far, which means, yes, his mediums will go that little bit longer to the end, but Guy now has got the notion of knowing that he's going to be able to come in roughly about, I don't know, 3 laps time, although we did establish that 19 laps is still not enough to get to the end on one stop. So you have to really push these tyres to about 20-21 laps if you want to hope to get to the end on these tyres. So even Mackenzie will not make it to the end on those mediums unless he tries to push for the unless he really manages to push those tyres to their absolute limits. 19, 20 laps is the limit. So maybe he might be okay, but he just has... He's probably lost a lot of time doing it.
Yeah, right now he sits about 19.4 seconds behind Guy.
He'll have the notion of knowing that Alex Fretwell will be due in very soon because his tyres will be falling off the cliff. But he's also got Stanley to contend with as well, and Stanley's been on his tyres long enough now to be able to utilise them to fuller effect than Mackenzie will be. In fact, you can already tell because Stanley is now starting to draw onto the back of Mackenzie's car. Now, the other driver that's set a few laps on the mediums is James Retief on the mediums on 15 laps, so he will due in a bit later than these guys, but he's going to be open-mindedly just trying to salvage something out of this race. Whereas we've got a battle here too between Daniel Vaal and Jules Vanderbroek behind these two. It'll be interesting to see. So the gap between Guy and Mackenzie is 19.4 seconds. I don't really remember what the transit time in Hungary is between transit, pit stop and out, so we'll find that out eventually when Guy makes a stop. But I can tell you this much, if Mackenzie gets caught in a battle with Stanley, that's going to help Guy even more. So what's Guy going to do? Guy stays out for another run, so that'll put him on 18 laps, which, if you take into account of the tyres being a little cooked from the fact of qualifying... Oh, actually, no, these are fresh, sorry, because everyone... Oh, no. No, they still did do a lap, didn't they? They all did roughly a lap on their...
Yeah.
On their tyres in the first qualifying. Although, whether or not it got deemed a dry qualifying in the races, we've just now lost Addy. Addy's had a crash somewhere. Hopefully he's not in a dangerous location, because the last thing we need is an incident caused by... Now, one thing that could help Guy immensely right now is a virtual safety car. If a virtual safety car comes out roughly about... Well, I wouldn't say now. I wouldn't want it to... If I was in Guy's shoes, I would be hoping it happens right about here. Which at this point looks not like it's going to happen, because it would have happened by now if it did. A safety car or a virtual safety car would have pretty much put him in a chute, and I think he's coming in just to cover his ass.
That's probably it then, because Mackenzie is making up some pretty good time.
So Alex Little will take the lead of the race for the first time in this race. Where is Mackenzie on track? Mackenzie's coming around the last turn, so I think Mackenzie may have actually got the undercut on Guy. We'll find out in just a short amount of time. Here we go. Guy will now just get onto power. Yeah, Mackenzie's got the undercut, but Guy will have the better tyre. And of course Guy will also have the knowledge of knowing that Stanley is going to apply pressure to the back of Mackenzie. So Guy's going to have to try and push these softs 15 laps to get them to the end. Probably a little more realistic to him to do that than Mackenzie to try and push 23 laps on a set of mediums. So as Stanley gets a time penalty now, he's really pushing to try and catch Mackenzie. Now the question is, will Stanley hold Guy up, or will he let Guy through because he knows that Guy is potentially fighting for a race win here? It's hard to say, but at the moment Daniel still has not managed to actually get past Jules Vanderbroek here, so Daniel just trying his hardest to get some pace in this car. Now Alex finally comes in from position 1, so doesn't unfortunately complete a lap in the lead of the race. Oh no, he does, he just did there. And we've got Alex Fretwell in, so the two Alexes in the pit now. And oh my goodness me, Stanley nearly just understeered straight into Guy's car, but Guy's got the DRS, he'll have the run. and he should be able to have that position easily. Stanley won't argue it because he knows that he's only in this just to make numbers and to have a bit of a blast around, so he gives up the position easily, and now Guy's got a 1.4 second gap to try and make up to overtake McKenzie and take the lead of the race. So Daniel now up to P5, challenging for P4, although effectively right now this is a battle for the podium with Stanley, if you take Stanley out of the equation. So this is a great comeback by Daniel Vale once again from adversity in the race. So Matt, who do you think's been the standout today so far, and who's unfortunately not where they would like to be?
Well, I'm sure Daniel isn't happy with both his qualifying and his race start, but he's coming back well. But I was hoping to see let's see.
Oh, you were just having a pause there too.
Yeah, sorry.
I was just watching Daniel have a move up the inside last second to last turn, so I thought you were pausing for that.
Standout McKenzie actually has run a really good race. He's up 9 spots. Guy, nice clean start last year, fighting for the lead. I would say, oh no, he also had a nice start, up spots. I was really hoping to see what Alex Fretwell would do today, but seems like a couple strategy calls may have compromised the race.
And definitely, it's a story of what might have been for March as well, given that his teammate pretty much should have given him the golden opportunity to take the lead of the race and lead the field, but something must have happened while we were watching the start line chaos that he eventually lost ground and dropped position. Now somebody's heading off somewhere.
Melbourne.
Is it? Oh, it is too.
Yep.
Up at turn 4, so... and he was running quite well up the field too, so he might come under attack from Yevgeny as well. And Yevgeny's still having a pretty good race. He's currently running effectively P8 right now, so he'll bag some more points to his tally after a great result in his first race in Germany. And Guy now attacking the attacker from the first stint, so McKenzie now under siege from Guy Tasker there, and Guy will be looking to try and get one back on McKenzie, and Guy will just be looking to put this season behind him and hope that next season will be a bit stronger, whether it be in F1 or F2. The evaluations, I have to say, are actually a very exciting prospect. So I thought I'd take what I'm going to do, and this is going to be a public national announcement basically. So I'm going to just quickly grab my phone and open up my pinned messages on the committee chat, so I can personally and formally tell those watching those videos and all that pretty much. Hang on, I'll just check a couple of things. I've just got a few messages. Okay, so anyway, where is my pinned messages? There we go. Right, so I'm now formally going to explain. Oh, actually, hang on. We're just going to wait here for a second because Guy's now making a move around the outside of McKenzie at turn 1. A bit of contact between the two, but Guy's going to force the issue. He's going to have the run into turn 2. He's got the DRS. Is he going to plant the brakes in? Yes, he is. He's going to give McKenzie one back. There's a bit of contact there, but they're going to file through. Guy gets carted out wide, so I'd be holding my breath on this one for a minute. I'll just wait till this kind of settles down. McKenzie gets a time penalty now, so this will now be for effective position. Guy had to get past McKenzie and make 3 seconds. Now they're on the level playing field, and the weather's actually getting a little patchy. I've just noticed it's gotten a lot darker.
Yeah.
But anyway, so now that we've got a free moment, so this is the official evaluation test for this season's for next season's championship. So they're going to be 25% races with short qualifying, No damage and strict corner cutting. That much is plain and said and most. All drivers have to qualify on the super soft tyre, and the track in question is the Spanish Grand Prix, Catalonia. I'm just going to hold my breath here a second again, as Mackenzie went wide into the last turn, and that's going to prize Guy up for a move. Mackenzie's going defensive now. Guy should have actually tried to play the dummy, but he's going to try and use his braking around the outside. This will set him up again. They're bumping and grinding into each other, and this is the difference between wheel versus controller, but Guy now has got the move done, and plain sailing for Guy now. He'll just try and pull away, and Mackenzie will start getting reckless and hectic. And, oh, you don't try and make a move at turn 4, Mackenzie. That's dangerous. You could have put you both out of the race and whatnot, and Daniel Vale now, 3-second time penalty. So anyway, so weather will be clear, the time will be official, and of course the lobbies will be set up in contrast to the driver's assist variation. So F1 drivers, of course, well, all F1, F2 candidates will be running no assists, and so on and so forth. So we will pretty much be doing, the qualifying will be one of the more major telling points of how the evaluation runs. So we've got a rule in the system called the 4% rule. So if you don't qualify within 4% of the fastest time set by one of our benchmarks drivers, which, because we do have two, we're going to have two lobbies, one set by John Lindbergh, one set by Daniel Vale. If nobody can be within 4% of their fastest time, or whoever does the fastest time in the session, and 4% roughly translates to 3 seconds, they will not be in that category, pretty much. So for F1, you have to be within 4% of John or Daniel's time to be admitted into F1. And then it just pretty much carries on until we've got our 5 categories sorted out. Now, we don't currently have a 5th category up and open, as Guy makes a huge mistake into 5, which could have nearly thrown his entire race away. But anyway, we do have an F5 open, so if anyone watching wants to take part in the F5 category, which will run at 10 AM New Zealand time on Saturdays, which is Friday nights, Friday afternoons for American and US drivers, feel free to join us on Discord. There is a link to the Discord invitation to the registration page on the Codemasters forum. Probably don't ask anything in regards to PSN or YouTube, because we probably won't provide. But yeah, the Codemasters forum has a registration link to our Discord page, which will then pretty much get you on your way to F5. And just because you'll be in F5 this season doesn't guarantee you'll be in F5 next season if your assists work in favour of F1, F2, or F3 sort of thing. So at the moment, F3, F4 and F5 are all beta tested leagues, because we came into F1 with only 2 leagues. Well, we came into this season with 2 leagues after a failed attempt of 3 last season. So we came in with F1 and F2. We opened up F3 just before China. That didn't happen. Oh, Guy's made a huge mistake, and that set Mackenzie up for a move here. Guy needs to calm down, because these guys are actually bringing Alex into the party as well. So, in fact, and actually in saying that, Daniel's not too far off this battle as well, and he's on the freshest of all the tyres. So Alex is the one on the freshest tyres. Daniel's on the worst of the tyres in 13 laps, but still showing great pace. Now, anyway, so actually I've lost my complete train of thought.
You're saying the start of F3.
Right, yeah, so F3 was initially to start at China. It didn't quite go to plan. So it ended up being that Bahrain was the opener, the series opener for F3. To why we had the 2 back-to-back 25% races in the Christmas break period. But in saying that, it was F4 only just started up last weekend at the German Grand Prix, and F5 we haven't got anything as of yet. Now, Guy's just getting a little ragged and hot under the collar. He just needs to calm down, and and take the notion that he is battling Mackenzie for position. It's not a battle for penalties, because he would have got a penalty and he would have thought, oh crap, I now need to try and make 3 seconds. He probably doesn't remember that the game has been updated so that Jeff will actually tell you if the driver behind has penalties or not. So he needs to be careful on that, and Alex now gets another penalty, which could put him potentially at risk of losing the podium to Daniel, because I think they both had the same amount of penalties, and now Daniel will be ahead on penalty countbacks, and that's the thing Guy needs to take into consideration too. There's only just under 7 laps to go. This will be 6 laps as of this lap, but you have to be careful. You've just got to take it easy. Mackenzie's in championship position. In fact, and as I say that, I was gonna say he's not gonna take risks, but that was a huge risk in itself. And he's really trying to push the issue here, and that's not going to help him. Oh, and he's just given Guy a huge serve off the circuit. He's going to have to give that place back. If he doesn't give that place back, that is going to be a post-race penalty, because he has literally given Guy a hip and shoulder off the circuit. So that's going to be very touch and go there by the stewards, and I'm sure they'll take a dim view on that, because that was a game-changing position, and it's brought the other two into the battle as well. So Mackenzie's going to have to be smart about this. Because if he's not careful, he's going to incur the wrath of the stewards. Well, I mean, only if Guy protests the point, but I'm sure he would. I would too if I was in a position to be winning the race and then just get hip and shouldered off the circuit. I mean, you don't generally go wide. You don't generally go too wide into that corner, and Mackenzie really has been too aggressive in the approach to that. So he needs to. He should be really thinking of the idea of conceding that position back, because it was an unfair overtake, whether he would choose to accept that or not. And there's actually a move change there between George Vanderbrug and Alex Fretwell. I think Alex is trying to make a move here, and he's got the job done. Stanley's still a fair bit back now, and pretty much just holding position, but I'm sure at the end of this, I'm sure Mackenzie will just say it. But I mean, what do you think, Matt? Do you think that move was not on?
Yeah, it was very questionable. I mean, there's 5 laps left. He could have found another way to get that move pulled off.
And he's elected not to give the position back and then try and get it back legitimately. So, we'll see what the stewards have to say on that, as Alex Little will now try and make a move here. He's actually going to go for it. He's going down the inside. Guy's given him the space this time, but you can tell the difference in the driving style between Alex and Mackenzie. Alex likes to take things smartly as he tries to go down the inside at 2. Guy, well, there's a bit of contact there, but that was only because of spatial things. And oh, what's going on here? So March has gone wide into turn 3. Whether he was getting out of the way or not, it's hard to say, but this is definitely one of the more interesting battles for the win that I've seen out of anyone. As Jules Vanderbrug now gets another time penalty for his efforts. And Daniel Vale's just kind of looking into this, thinking, well, I'm still going to take a 14-point advantage in the championship over John heading into Belgium, but he would have been kind of hoping that it was 27 points, but that's the nature of the racing at the moment. But despite everything, for Daniel to be on 17 lap-old mediums and still being pretty much in the shot to win the race is quite amazing, to say the least.
I find it so impressive the way Daniel can take old tires and just find pace on every track he goes to.
Well, it's just no surprise to me as to why he is potentially going to be our world champion. And, you know, I mean, I say it early, but, you know, his pace is overwhelming. His consistency can be a bit questionable, but like you say, the ability to just take these tyres to such lengths and still be overly aggressive to the point of battling for position, and he might still be able to take his P2 out of this, because at the moment Alex is starting now to get a little punchy on the back of Guy's car, so these two could end up having an off, which could then promote Daniel up into P2. And of course Alex does have a 3-second time penalty, which will put into effect because Daniel's is pretty much in with a shot to stag P2 or P3 at the moment, sorry. But it really comes down to then what happens with Guy and that, because these two could have an off at any given moment. And another driver that's also managed to do quite alright with themselves is Stanley, on the fact that he's running 21 lap old mediums. He's not quite up there with these guys, but of course that's plain as day, as Alex now tries to make a move up the inside of Guy and actually gets the job done very easily there. So yeah, Guy's softs will be now starting to scream out for help, and Alex will be, well, Alex is only 1 lap different, so that's where it is. So Alex could still attack his teammate with 2 laps to go, and I'm sure Mackenzie would love the idea of having the race win stolen from him with only 2 laps to go, and especially from his own teammate. So
he's catching up quick.
Yeah, Alex has got much more pace on those softer tyres, even though they're pretty much at the threshold of giving up the ghost. But the difference between Alex and Mackenzie is that Alex has always been proficient at looking after his tyres. He can drive the car to a number and still be fast enough to be able to do it. But in saying that, he still needs to be able to pass Mackenzie. I'm just trying to think. Actually, have a look at. Could I get you to have a look at the race director and tell me who has the most penalties out of everyone in this, out of this top 4? Because I know Alex has 2, and I'm pretty sure Mackenzie has 1 or 2. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Oh, and we've lost James Retief, but that's too late into the... It's too late into the race to be a safety car, as Alex is through on Mackenzie. Okay, so this is critical, so I'll just wait to hear from Matt about what the penalty systems are. Oh, there's the crash there. Holy Moses. What do we got, Matt?
So, Kenzie has...
Oh, Guy's in the fence! Oh, Guy lost it in the corner. I thought he was in the fence. But he's dropped to P4 as a result. So anyway, I'm sorry. Carry on.
Axel has 2 time penalties and Mackenzie has 1. So he's still sitting P1.
So unless Alex can pull out 3 seconds in the space of this lap, which could be possible because he's already got 1.1 seconds and it's counting, Alex Little could still potentially steal the win from his teammate's nose. And if Daniel decides he wants to have a sniff and make Mackenzie's life difficult, he could. But Guy, unfortunate. That probably cost him the notion of a podium. So we've only got a few corners left to run here at this Hungarian Grand Prix, but all eyes lie on what happens here. Oh, well, that's hasn't given Mackenzie a penalty, but that's cost him a bit of time. We'll just wait and see what happens. I don't think it's going to be enough in the end. I think Mackenzie is still going to take the race win, unless Daniel decides to put his championship on the line and makes a gutsy dive, which I don't think he will. I don't think it's going to be enough, so either which way, Alex Little will cross the line to take the race win, but it won't be effectiveness. So Alex will cross the line, take to take the effective win, but Mackenzie Stewart will take the overall race win with Daniel Vale in second place. And Alex will take P3 ahead of Guy Tasker. Alex Fretwell on debut will take P5 with Stanley in P6, though effective P6 will go to George Vanderbrug with Melvin in 7th. Then Yevgeny will take P8. Axel Eriksson P9, and March Jasandi, despite thinking he's out of the points, will still bag a championship point for his efforts. So we will grab a moment here now to grab our 3 drivers, and I'm actually also going to grab Guy Tasker as well to have a chat with him about the result as well, because that was a great job from him to hold that battle for so long. And we'll see how that played out. But yeah, I still find that move of Mackenzie's a little questionable for the position that took the lead of the race. But we'll see what transpires later down the road. So we're going to probably about another lap to let those tyres get that 3-second gap, which would have sealed the win. So P3, despite that, still a good result despite starting 9th on the grid.
Yeah, well, I mean, qualifying didn't go the way that we wanted to. I'll apologise to Daniel for accidentally ruining his lap in qualifying. I just lost the rear of the car, and by the time I got on the circuit, he was right there. So I apologise for that. But yeah, qualifying didn't go the way that we wanted it to, so we decided to split the strategies. So it actually worked out to be pretty good. You know, the medium stint was pretty decent. We had a few good battles there, and as soon as we went onto the softs, we were a lightning bolt for the rest of the race. We had to chase down the front of the field. Of course, Mackenzie letting me through to help me get P3 because I had a few more penalties. So good work from the team. We got a 1-3, so I'm very wrapped with that. 3rd place, I'm finally back on the podium after a few races, so hopefully more of these to come.
So would you pretty much, seeing that you are the only one in the top 3 to have more penalties in the L9, would you be fair to say that you could give up your mantle as Mr. Consistency?
In terms of making mistakes, penalties, probably. Haven't really. It was a pretty messy race in terms of running wide. I am hitting myself on the head, but unfortunately I can't bring out any excuses. It's me just simply pushing hard as everybody is trying to gain those extra tenths, and I just made a couple of mistakes here and there, running wide, cutting the corner. Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time there, Alex. We'll move along. Daniel Vale. Would you have thought that P2 was on the cards, considering that you were facing the wrong way at the start line?
No, no. I was hoping for at least a P5. So, and then I got that amount of pace, and I managed to catch the front group, and yes, now a P2.
So Matt was saying, and I agree 100% on it, you've just got this incredible knack, even though you're on a controller, to be able to draw out the best of a tyre. I mean, 21 laps on a set of mediums and still having the pace to really challenge for the front of the race. You know, we got to tip your hat off to you. This is the reason why you're championship leader and why you could be potentially our new world champion. I mean, you've got to take that at least on board.
Well, I don't know. I always give my 100%. So yes, maybe that's the reason why I get the absolute 100% of the tires.
Well, thanks for your time, Daniel. And of course, you've now extended your championship points lead out to 20 points over John Lindbergh, which is now, by this point, the biggest championship margin we've seen this season. So take that into Belgium with pride and amnesty, and we'll see you there. And Mackenzie Stewart, race winner. I have to say, there was one questionable moment there when you managed to give Guy a hip and shoulder at turn 3, which put him off the circuit. But other than that, pretty strong race for you to come from 10th to win. Just talk us through the race.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I just want to say congratulations to Daniel and Alex. Daniel definitely looked like he was real strong. He was able to finish half a second behind us, considering he was facing around on lap 1, like you said. But yeah, go back to my race. Qualifying wasn't too well. We had had a few problems with internet trying to connect and reconnect. I was lucky to get back in before the race, and then yeah, I don't know what it was. Something just clicked today, and the pace in the car was really nice. I was able to make my way through the field quite quickly. And yeah, and once I caught up to Guy, I was just cruising up until I seen Alex and Daniel get close. I was like, I got to make my move now and get ahead, and so I can pull away for my pit stop. And then once I got on the mediums, it was pretty much just cruise control and just make sure we get to the end with as minimal penalties as possible. At the end, I decided to let Alex through because he had more penalties. So hopefully he could extend the gap out at the end, because he was the fastest car on the track, I believe, at the end on those softs. So
I did see the fastest lap too.
Yeah, so it was a good 1-3 for the team. Good comeback after a few poor races. Yeah, we'll head into Belgium knowing that we're slowly making gains back on the championship.
Oh, thanks for your time anyway, and congratulations on your race win. That's all the time we've got here, unless, Matt, you've got something extra you want to say?
I think you pretty much covered it all today.
No, unfortunately, Guy didn't look like he wanted to join us. Might have been a little frustrated based on his performances. Pretty much a race. Oh, definitely my vote for driver of the day, as well as Daniel Vale for his brilliant comeback drive from basically facing the wrong way on the start line to second place. You don't see that too often, especially when you're 40 odd seconds off from the lead. So great comeback drive, great drive from everyone today. Special mention also to Alex Fretwell for 5th place on debut. Got a few little hiccups going on in the Discord, but that's as much as you'll expect to see anywhere. Stanley Belrose P5 on reserve duty, so great job for him. And without further ado, we'll drop the broadcast here and we will move to F2 in 2 hours time with Mackenzie and whoever he can find. And from that, Brett Keenan, Matthew Elliott signing out from Hungary.